This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Nightbloom Vodka. Nightbloom is an American-made craft vodka of the highest standard. Nightbloom offers a diverse range of extraordinary blends using artisanal ingredients to create a truly unique taste of vodka. Check out their three main vodka lines, Nightbloom N1, N2, and N3, all curated for different taste buds. Make sure to grab yourself a bottle of Nightbloom before your next pay-per-view watch at nightbloomspirits.com. We'll link them below in our bio as well. Shout out to Nightbloom. Welcome back, everybody, to the Word Around the Ring podcast. My name is Big Rob, and I'll let my tag partner introduce himself.
You could call me King Jess, and we're the only podcast who won't be adding a third hour to the show. Rob, it's been quite a couple days since we got back on the mics, but you wanted to do a special intro segment this week, so how about we jump right into that?
Sure, it has been a while, so I'm glad we're able to get back on the microphone here. And definitely have a question I've been meaning to ask you. You know, it's very prominent that wrestlers and these figures that we look up to and we enjoy watching, one of the most exciting things and the things that get the emotion boiling up when they show up on our screens are their theme songs. So my question for you is, what are your top three favorite wrestling theme songs of all time? Being that it is all time, I'll allow a few honorable mentions. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
Damn, that one's a tough one because there are so many good theme songs. I really had to look into the catalog of previous theme songs throughout the years. And let's start off with our number threes. I want to know your number three as well as mine. My number three would be Shinsuke Nakamura's "Rising Sun" theme song. I love that theme song. Every time the violins hit, I know that we're about to get a good match. What's your number three?
My number three is D-Generation X's "Are You Ready" by the
Nice.
Chris Warren Band.
It's a classic.
I've classic. Whenever I listen to that song, I think about being back in middle school, crossing my X's across my hips, getting in trouble for it, and just the mischief of it all. Wow, that just holds a special place in my heart. But what is your number two theme song for you there?
So my number two is synonymous with my memories of what I would consider the golden years of SmackDown, and that would have to be Batista's "I Walk Alone." Every time that shit hits, every time the pyro goes off, it gets me excited. Uh, when he came in and he was part of Evolution, just knowing he was gonna, be part of this big group, and he had kind of like an early version of what we would later see as the main theme song. It's just a theme song that I've loved throughout the years, and I think it deserves my number two spot. What's yours?
Yeah, I'm kind of pissed that I didn't think about that. I am
It's a
upset
good
at
one,
myself
dude.
because that is probably one of the better theme songs of all time. That's like a theme song you can just put on and listen to in like any situation of life.
It's a good
You know,
workout song.
on your It's a great workout song. You even drive to work right before you about to get out the car, you throw that bitch on and you're locked in. That's a great answer. I love that being your number two. So I'm excited to hear number one. But my number two is Mark Henry's "Somebody's Gonna Get It"
Ooh.
by 3 6 Mafia. I think it just fit his persona well. Him walking out to it very stoic and just ready to kick somebody's ass, and just remembering that vision that I like, just watching him walk down the ramp so serious. I think even one time he had 3 6 Mafia perform the song for him as he was walking out. So love that song. I think it fits him well. Um, and it added a flavor to SmackDown when he was performing there. So that's my number two. I want to get to your number one theme song.
Well, before we get to number ones, I do want to get into honorable mentions because that theme song was actually one of my honorable mentions just because of the fact that 36 Mafia was on it. I always loved that because you didn't really see collaborations like that with big artists between wrestlers back in the day because I'm guessing copyright issues and all that. So seeing someone as popular as 36 Mafia, at least, inside the rap game, collaborate with Mark Henry and do a song, I thought that was great. That was one of my honorable mentions. Another one that I think people underestimate, the Nation of Domination one, the classic Nation of Domination theme song goes fucking hard. When I was going through all the theme songs, that one came on. I was like, ooh, I forgot how hard this beat goes. So that was another one of my honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I have Bobby Roode's glorious
Oh,
domination
that's a good one.
by the CFOs. Unfortunately, Bobby Roode's career on the main roster didn't pan out the way I was hoping it, but I remember watching him on NXT during the black and gold era. On those takeovers, him even having the orchestra pull up for certain renditions of his theme song was amazing. It was very Ric Flair esque,
Hmm.
like, and especially with the way he would wear the robe, walk out with the spotlight shining directly on him. It was fantastic, and I just loved that theme song in particular.
We actually got to go to an NXT live here. I remember it was me and your cousin Julio. Shout out Julio. I know he listens every week. We got to go to an NXT live show here where Bobby Roode was gonna wrestle, and he actually came out in the little Roomba that he used to come on that would transport him to the ring. Hilarious stuff. But he's always been an amazing wrestler.
Definitely. Do you have another honorable mention?
Well, I gave you two, so how about you give me one more, and then I have a couple
All
more.
right. I have Shawn Michaels, "Sexy Boy," because how could we
That's a
not?
good one.
It wasn't my number one. Um, my number one is very it's a very personal one,
Okay.
but "Sexy Boy" by Shawn Michaels, loved it. Who doesn't love it? The girls would go crazy when that would come on. Um, just an all timer in that sense. I think another one for me as well is Stone Cold's "Glass
Hmm.
Shattering." Just I don't even need the whole theme song, just the glass shattering. That the feeling that you got when you just heard the glass shatter, him walking out so angrily with so much passion heading to the ring, just having the entire stadium at the palm of his hands, losing their minds. Go ahead, take it away with your the rest of your honorable mentions.
Well, I think you and me both had the same idea with some of these honorable mentions because I did write. How can you not write some of these legendary um, intros down as because you don't want to pick it as your main theme songs. You don't want to look like a mark. You know, you don't want to make it your top three. But Undertaker, Austin, Triple H, these are all amazing theme songs that have to go under honorable mentions. But my other honorable mention that I think you would be surprised to hear is actually Dolph Ziggler's "Here to Show the World." That theme song goes fucking hard
Mm,
no matter what. No matter what you think about Dolph Ziggler, even though he's killing it right now on TNA, but no matter what you thought about Dolph Ziggler when he was in the WWE, that theme song smacked.
that is a good theme song. That 2010 to 2016 theme
Hmm.
song, that is a great one. Dolph Ziggler with his noodle hair. Shout out to Dolph, doing great out there in
Fucking wet hair,
TNA.
dude.
And I'm surprised he never hasn't made the jump to AEW yet. That's where I thought he was going, but we'll get into AEW and whatnot later. But no, that's a great honorable mention. So with the honorable mentions
Out of
coming
the
to a
way.
conclusion here, I want to ask you, I want to know, what is your number one theme song?
I think a few people that know me knew that this was going to be my number one, and how could it not be? It's going to be Edge's Metalingus. That song always gets me hyped. That's on the majority of my like workout playlists. So that has to be number one. Every time it hits, you got to do the little stance. You got to wait for the pyro to pop. There was no way I wasn't going to have that as my number one. What's your number one?
That's a great answer. I'll have a follow up question after I give you my number one.
All right.
But my number one is MVP's "I'm Coming." Um,
Ooh, okay.
I think I love the entrance in totality.
Hmm.
Just with like the inflatable fucking door that he would come out in, he would pop out, throw his arms in the air, the glasses on. He had the fit. It was just the perfect entrance. It wasn't like he was a fucking top guy. The the best he ever did was win the United States Championship, but that's all he needed to do. Like, they say the wrestler makes the entrance, but nah, that entrance made the wrestler. That was a fucking phenomenal entrance. Whoever was the producer that came up with that one, shout out to them, because that is one of my favorite entrance songs, entrances in general, and love MVP for that and solely that. But other than that, that's my number one. My follow up question, being that your number one was Metalingus for Edge, was where were you when he returned for the was it 2021 Royal Rumble?
At home crying like everybody else. I didn't think like listen, when he the night before he posted the pictures of the boots, I was like, please, Edge, don't do this to us. If this is like even just like a tease at anything, please don't. Because if you're not medically cleared to come back for a while to at least, end the career, your career the way that you wanted, please just don't do this. Don't tease us and then nothing happens. And then he finally it happened at the Royal Rumble. I lost my complete mind. I all my emotions went out the window, just like I think the majority of my friends, because we were all talking about it, we were all texting throughout the night. That fucking moment was so insane, dude. Just hearing that song again, seeing the fog wall go up and him run through it, amazing, amazing. 10 out of 10. I didn't think I'd ever see him back in the ring, so that was a huge shock to me.
That is a great story. And that was he was the number one entrant, right?
I don't think he was number one. No,
Or
no,
was it number
he definitely wasn't
was
number one because there's people that
okay,
came in after
maybe
him.
I'm wrong. Okay, for sure. No, that's a great story there. But no, we've been like we said earlier, no, we've been gone for a little bit. There's been a lot
Mhm.
going on in this lead up to Bad Blood happening on October the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. We have a few weeks until we get there, but it seems like the match card is coming all together. We've had a few announcements. We have a few championship matches that will be taking place on Raw as well. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on a few things. I want to start off by asking you about one of your favorite current superstars, which is Damian Priest and Finn
Mhm.
Balor. They've been going back and forth on the mic. They really haven't gotten their hands on each other, which I can appreciate. We're saving that moment for Bad Blood, and I'm excited to finally see Finn wrestle against Damian Priest, being that Priest has the size advantage. He's clearly on fire right now. I would say he's one of the, if not the breakout superstar of the year, one of the breakout superstars of the year. So he's on fire. I'm excited to see who wins this match. Because I can't put my finger on it yet. They've been having a few back and forths on Monday Night Raw. I've really enjoyed them. But what are your thoughts on this match finally being made official? If you had to guess at this moment in time who was going to win this match when we get to Bad Blood, who would be your pick?
I think if we're gonna further the storyline between these groups, I think Finn Balor has to win, and it'll come with fuckery. It'll be because of interference or whatever you want from the Judgment Day. But I think if you want to continue this, you go Finn Balor. If you're ready to end it, I think you do Damian Priest because that opens him up um, for the next weekly show so that we can start transitioning him into his next feud. I don't think we're necessarily at that point. I do think we continue this. So I do think Finn Balor is going to win at this point. But I think this has to be it. Not it. This has to be one of like the bigger matches of the night. I need these two to go in there and I need them to destroy each other because, like you said, they haven't gotten their hands on each other. And they did kind of. I actually don't know if Finn Balor touched Damian Priest this week on Raw, but like you said, they haven't gotten their hands on each other, and I think with the culmination of that finally being in a match that they finally get their hands on each other, they just have to go out and they have to beat the fuck out of each other. But yeah, I think at the end of the night, Finn Balor has to win if we want to continue this.
Definitely, I would agree on that point. Finn has actually gotten the upper hand on Damian Priest, but only because he's had the help of the Judgment Day or the newfound Judgment Day or Street Trash, whatever you want to call them. Um, Finn has gotten the advantage there. He's been beating him up towards the end of the matches, such as this week. He did face Damian faced Dominic Mysterio in the main event of Monday Night Raw. That ultimately ended with Damian and Rhea getting their shit rocked by the Judgment Day. Getting jumped, of course, is it's not a fair fight. Five versus two individuals, but the Terror Twins' advantage, they have made a few new acquaintances, such as Jay Uso, which is an interesting um, thing happening there. But in terms of Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, I do want Finn to win this match only because I feel like Finn has been losing the big pay-per-view matches that he's been in recently, or at least that's what I remember. Like him losing against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, him losing against Edge at WrestleMania 39 in the Hell in a Cell. Like in recent memory, it's just been a whole lot of Finn losses in those pay-per-view matches, which I don't appreciate as a Finn Balor fan. Damian Priest did lose his most recent match this most recent singles match against Gunther at SummerSlam. But they did just come off the win against Dominic and Liv Morgan at Bash in Berlin. So I think this really puts it in a coin cost situation here. I do want Finn Balor to win. I am a huge Finn Balor fan. I'm biased, but I think it would allow for them to continue this story, maybe even head to more games and have another match there. But I'm excited to see how this one turns out. I would put my money on Finn Balor. What I have also enjoyed from this feud is, like we've been talking about earlier, Damian Priest is the babyface now, and Finn Balor is clearly the heel. But Finn Balor is not letting him forget it was Damian Priest who was costing Finn Balor his opportunities when he was going up against Seth Rollins. When Damian had the Money in the Bank briefcase, was always interfering in Finn's matches, and so continuing to harp on that history that they have there, I've really enjoyed, and I do love the fact that they keep going back to those that story there. So I hope and I pray that Finn Balor walks out of Bad Blood as the winner there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you touched upon it a little bit earlier. You said Finn Balor was smaller than Damien. I think we're gonna come back into an age that we used to kind of be in. That I think people like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero really headed. But we're gonna come back into this age where your size really doesn't matter as long as you can perform well and you can tell the story that they want to tell. I think that just because you're bigger doesn't necessarily mean you'll always win. And I think Rey Mysterio was is a great example of that. Back in the day, it didn't matter. He would take down Big Show. He would take down Brock Lesnar. His size didn't matter because his in ring work would show that he could do it. And I think Finn Balor is going to be one of the few people that headlines this new movement of the small guy doesn't always mean he's going to lose against the big guy.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see that match. It's gonna be one of my favorite matches of that pay-per-view there. And we'll see where this story goes over the next 2 weeks. We still have a lot of time to get to Bad Blood. I think we have 3 Monday Night Raw episodes left until then, which is a bit of line. We have 2 episodes left, which is still a lot of TV time there. Get to the show. I feel like I'm not too sure on how they're gonna continue this story without getting a little stale here. But
Mm-hmm.
we will see. But moving forward, in our last episode, we were having a conversation where we were taking guesses, where we were predicting the future of what was going to happen at Bad Blood, how CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were going to finish their story. Um, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I remember saying that my money was that they would have a match in a Hell in a Cell. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what I remember
I mean, you called it.
predicting.
You fucking called it.
So we finally get the announcement here that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre will be happening Hell in a Cell, in Hell in a Cell, and this comes after the Drew McIntyre murder that he almost committed on CM Punk, um, which was very exciting to me to find out that that's how this trilogy will probably end. I don't see them having a fourth match. So I'm excited to see how they conclude this because someone is going to be left either in a stretcher, bleeding, with their heart on the floor, with teeth knocked out of them, eyes gouged. This is going to be a bloody match. I'm excited to watch it. But most importantly, I am excited to see how it really ends and how you put a bow on this story here. There was an interesting aspect to this, like, to these few segments that we had with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. There was one segment earlier, I think it was last week, where Drew McIntyre was cutting a promo, um, and just explaining to the fans why he did what he did, why he was going after CM Punk, and CM Punk thought that it was just going to be a piece of cake. He was going to walk out of their second match just because he had beat him, that their story was over, and he was going to move on to Gunther. And Drew McIntyre said, "Fuck that! You cost me my championship opportunities, and you think you're just gonna beat me and have a championship opportunity with Gunther? No, no." Um, and he was explaining that to the fans, and then he Then he turned his attention to his friend Wade Barrett, who was on commentary there. And he asked Wade Barrett, why did he try to stop him the previous week from killing CM Punk? Out of all people who should understand how Drew McIntyre felt, it should have been Wade Barrett. They got in each other's face. They had a back and forth. And I was a little concerned for Wade Barrett, but I was also a little excited because of the potential of Wade Barrett getting back into the ring. Now, listen, that's a little crazy, I think. Not because I don't think Wade Barrett could do it, but just the shock factor of it potentially happening. That would be sick. Like Drew moving forward and having a feud with Wade Barrett, that would be that'd be a great way to like move Drew past CM Punk, in my opinion, and give him a new opponent and someone so important enough that it could progress his story and his character forward. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the Hell in a Cell? Just overall thoughts on CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's feud as of right now and where we're standing today.
Before I let the thought escape me, do you think that the potential of Wade Barrett returning, do you think that's in response to Nigel returning on AEW during the latest pay per view that they had? Do you think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, if you did it, I can do it too?
Um, I don't think so. It is funny that it lined up so well with each other because you might be right. Like that might be it. Oh, they got an announcer that they think can wrestle. Well, bitch, I could do it too. That might be the case. That might be the case. I don't think so though.
Okay.
I don't think so. And I think Nigel McGuinness's like entrance to the gauntlet match, it was just like a surprise Royal Rumble entrance. Versus with this, Drew McIntyre and Wade Barrett, that just makes a lot more sense in terms of the character progression for Drew McIntyre and being that Wade Barrett and Drew are such good friends as well outside of the ring. And even when CM Punk had costed uh Drew McIntyre the match at Clash at the Castle,
Mm-hmm.
Wade Barrett on the post show was the one going in on CM Punk. He was defending Drew McIntyre. He was saying, "No, Punk should be fired. Like, what the hell are we doing here? This isn't right, etc., etc." So I think this story would make a lot more sense. It would be a lot better played out than AEW introducing Nigel McGuinness to a random match. All I'm gonna say.
No,
That's where
yeah,
I'm at. But
100%.
continue.
I'm with you on the storytelling. The storytelling in this aspect is a lot better than the way AEW presented it, where, like you said, it was more like a surprise. This, although it would be a surprise, and like you said, has backstory. But I was just like, maybe that's just kind of like, that they play these games often, where it's like, if you can do it, I can do it. If you can say it, I can say it. So I was just, it crossed my mind while you were talking about it, and I was like, what a coincidence that like Nigel recently returned. Now we might have a possible Wade Barrett return. We're not sure if that's even going to happen yet, but like you said, it's a possibility. I just thought it was kind of like a little bit of a coincidence right there. On part of this match, I was actually in the time that between our last recording and this, I was kind of souring on the thought of this match. I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch Drew versus Punk again, to be honest, until this week's Raw, and we'll get to that later. But this week's Raw, CM Punk cut a great promo, and I'm back in. If I wasn't in before, what had me at least what at least had my attention would be the fact that it's going to be in a Hell in the Cell. I feel like we haven't seen a Hell in the Cell in a hot minute, and I think having these two finally come head to head and just let them get their hands on each other without anyone being able to interfere is how we end this thing. And I think that this is what McIntyre wants. And if I got to bet on a horse, I think I got to go with Drew on this one. I don't know how you're feeling, but I think you let these two destroy each other, and the one that walks out at the end of the night is going to be Drew.
That's interesting. I would agree in the sense where I do think Drew should win. I
Mm-hmm.
think Drew makes the most sense, but I don't think it's going to happen
Ooh.
solely because they already CM Punk Gunther. And for that reason, I don't think you can have CM Punk versus Gunther if CM Punk loses this match. So
Okay.
therefore, I think CM Punk wins this match
To
and
go
he
on
goes
to
to
Gunther.
face Gunther at Survivor Series because that is where he made his return the year prior. And what a better way to come back to the moment that we still talk about to this day, the moment we can't forget about, the moment where WWE fans, wrestling fans, AEW lost their minds and couldn't believe what they were watching. CM Punk returning to the Allstate Arena in 2023. Uh, so I think that's where this is headed, especially for CM Punk. I don't think he could get to Survivor Series in a championship match by losing to Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
So I think Punk takes this one, unfortunately for Drew. Maybe Wade
Hmm.
Barrett like stops this brother from doing something crazy, from impaling CM Punk, and that leads to Punk getting enough time to recover, getting the pin, winning the match, etc. I don't know how they're gonna book it. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I do think CM Punk's gonna walk out of that match as the winner. I'm glad we can defer in that sense there.
I kind of, I mean, if you're gonna put it that way, then I could see how we can lead off, like you said, Punk wins through interference. I guess maybe of Wade Barrett stopping it. That way, we push Punk forward towards Gunther, and McIntyre can go towards Wade Barrett. Because if that were to happen, the first thing that Drew's gonna do is talk shit um, towards Wade Barrett, either on the mic or on Twitter. But he'll get his word in. So I could see it now. If you put it that way, I could see it progressing that way. Fun story since you brought it up. CM Punk returning to wrestling. That is the only reason that I returned back to wrestling. I wasn't watching prior to Punk
What?
not being me in wrestling. And it was funny because the week before, one of my buddies had told me, he's like, "Are you watching wrestling? It's getting hot again." And I was like, "Nah." I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna get back into it anytime soon." The only reason I'd get back into it is if fucking CM Punk came back. In my head, I'm like, that's gonna fucking happen when hell freezes over. And then he finally came back, and I was like, you know what? Well, I guess I have to keep my promise. And I'm glad I did because the product is hot. I have been enjoying myself a lot watching the product recently. But yeah, I thought that was a fun story I'd share with you. The reason I'm
That's
back is because CM Punk's back.
that's so interesting. So you came back last year at Survivor Series,
Um,
like following Survivor Series is what you're saying.
no, not to WWE, to like wrestling in
To
general.
AEW. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
to AEW. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood that. No, that's fair. That also, I do remember that happening. Still to this day, listen, AEW does a lot of things wrong, but that day they did a lot of things right. Um, and to this day, like randomly, I'll pull up my phone and just watch that pop because it's probably the greatest pop of all time.
The AEW one or
I'm
the Survivor
yes, the
Series one?
AEW one. No, 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 the AEW
Because the
one.
Survivor
Because
Series one,
he,
it was cool, but I think
mhm,
them kind of interjecting the whole like wrestlers being mad at him, like
yeah,
I think that kind of killed it for me. It wasn't as good a pop as it could have been. Plus, I don't think the position of the pop was great. But the one at AEW, that pop was amazing. I love that pop.
yeah. It being at the end of the show at Survivor Series, it being after the War Games match, having Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre being visibly upset, it definitely added a layer to it that the AEW one didn't have. The AEW one was also just like just a welcome back.
Yeah.
Like it was the prodigal son returning home, literally and figuratively to the city of Chicago, to the world of wrestling, following a 8, 7, whatever how many years hiatus from wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
just returning and hearing that the and just the song hitting, it was fucking epic. And just like that was the last time that I remember watching an AEW show and seeing every seat in the arena filled. And it was off of the potential. It wasn't even a fact. They hadn't announced it. Like you knew if you were in the no wrestling fan, you had a speculation that he was gonna return. but there was never anything that was announced. It was
Hmm.
straight off of speculation, and the fans showed up. And my God, what an amazing moment it must have been for the people who decided to travel, to show up just on the chance that CM Punk would return. And they did, and he did. And it was epic and it was amazing. And at that point, I think that's when I turned AEW and I was like, oh, they're taking this shit serious. And I started paying attention to them a lot more. And even now I get goosebumps. I'm smiling talking about it because it was a beautiful moment. Like we said, that is what wrestling is all about. The moments that you cannot forget where you
Hmm.
were when an event happened. And that is the level of fandom that people have towards CM Punk. And some people don't understand it. He isn't the average, he isn't the biggest wrestler. It's really because of his voice, how real he is, how he talks on the mic. And no, it's I just shout out to him for bringing fans back. I'm sure he brought a lot of fans back to the product in general as well, similar to what he did for you.
Hmm. He definitely did. So let's
But
keep.
no, speaking of predictions that I've gotten right, I want to move forward
Let's keep going.
to CM Punk's who we thought was he was going to be challenging Gunther. Last week we had an amazing segment, one of my favorite Gunther segments, one of the funniest Gunther segments that I can remember. But they were in Calgary, Canada, home of the Hitman Bret Hart, and they had, surprisingly had announced that he was going to be at the show. You had texted me, you couldn't believe it was happening. I thought it was going to be a fun. I had predicted that Sammy was going to come out, hometown, home country hero. Him and Brett were gonna have a little hug fest in the middle of the ring, and then Gunther was gonna come out, etc. That was my prediction.
You almost had it.
I almost had it.
You
No, I
almost
did
had it.
have it. I just
It
didn't
was
know
just
what
out of
was gonna be
order, but
said.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But Sammy and Bret Hart found themselves in the middle of the ring, um, having a little hug fest. Out comes Sammy starts challenging Gunther, saying, "Man, Gunther's being a little bitch. He's being a coward. He doesn't want to face me, Brett. I'm trying to get like you. I wanna go from the Intercontinental Championship, move on to becoming a World Heavyweight Champion." And that's when Gunther comes out. He's talking shit. Gunther's paying what we believe is some respects to Bret Hart, but you just saw a smile, a smirk on Gunther's face. And you know what, Brett? We're one of my favorites. You know who was my favorite of all time? Goldberg. Oh man, that shit was fucking hilarious. I love that. I thought it was the funniest thing Gunther could say. It coming from him was fantastic. Doing it in front of Canada, knowing the history that Goldberg and Bret Hart have with each other, how much Bret Hart absolutely despises this man. I don't think I've ever heard someone hate another individual as much as Bret Hart hates Goldberg. And for Gunther to throw that in his face was the funniest thing. And it was just the delivery of it, the smile that he had when he delivered the line. It was just fantastic. And to do it in the country of Canada, to do it in his hometown, to do it with Sami Zayn in the middle of the ring there was just fucking hilarious. What were your thoughts on this segment?
I enjoyed the segment just like you did, and I really hope someone out there got Goldberg's reaction to him seeing that for the first time, because that has to be complete gold. Like you said, there's no one in this world with more hate in their heart than Bret Hart has for Goldberg. So for Gunther to come over there and say that kind of shit, I mean, I thought him coming out during the segment, like you predicted, was going to be disrespectful enough, but him just coming out and saying that, I was like, it's game over, dude. He won. You can't come out. You can't come back from that. No matter what you say, no matter who you pull out of your ass to come out of that gorilla position, you can't win. He already won. He put the final nail in the coffin for you. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I do love the Hitman, even though he's a salty old man. I love the Hitman. I love Goldberg. I hope, like I said, I hope someone recorded that because I would love to see the footage of him reacting to that. On Gunther versus Sammy, like I said before, I don't know if I need this again, I thought we had opened Sammy up for the stuff that was going on with the bloodline. I know right now, yeah, the bloodline stuff is kind of taking a pause to deal with what they got going on. So I guess this kind of makes sense for Sammy to kind of like toy around with until they need him. But at the end of the day, I still think Gunther walks away with the belt on this one if they do face each other at Bad Blood.
For sure. The match hasn't been announced yet. We don't know if it's gonna happen. That was last week's episode of Monday Night Raw. This week, Sammy was still again begging for another championship opportunity, which Gunther denied. It's not gonna happen. It doesn't seem like Gunther wants the match, and he has a point. He like what the fuck has Sammy done as of recent? He lost his last match to Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. At least win a match, brother. I'm a Sammy fan, but at least win a match, brother, and then try to get a championship opportunity. So I love the fact that Gunther continues to um, deny Sammy's request,
Mm-hmm.
and Sammy bringing Bret Hart to town. It was just I just can't get over the fucking line delivery. Goldberg was my number one guy. It was just hilarious, and no, I think it's Gunther is on top of the world. The guy's a
Mm-hmm.
fucking heel. He's such a good heel that people love it. And that is like the fine line between being a complete heel and an asshole. Like he is an asshole, but he's such he does a great job at doing so that the people love it. Um and I can't remember the last time that's happened. Like maybe JBL was one that I remember vividly. Like JBL segment, the border segment that he had, which is fucking hilarious. If
No,
anyone has never seen this shit, if anyone has never seen this, if you're
I
listening
can't believe
and
you
you want to
brought this
laugh
up.
and you want to fucking laugh, go on YouTube and search
Oh
up
no!
uh, JBL at the border,
Oh
and it
god!
was the funniest segment I remember watching as a kid. JBL going
Oh,
down to the
fuck.
California Mexican border
At the height of like the political landscape against immigration.
and him just kicking immigrants back into Mexico. My God, that shit is hilarious.
Holy
Um,
fuck. We're gonna
so
have
if you
to have
haven't
an
seen that
episode
segment,
where we just talk about like the wildest memories that we have
that
of this show
that is
because
a great
holy
segment.
you like woke up this memory. I haven't seen this segment in years and I can clearly see the segment in my head right now. Holy
Oh
shit.
man,
That's a
it
great
was.
fucking segment.
But that is the level of Gunther. Like that is where Gunther's at for me. I mean, he's only gonna keep getting better. Sammy, I'm getting a little nervous now. The closer that we get to War Games, and I'm not seeing Jimmy Uso, I'm not seeing any interaction with Sammy or Jey Uso or the Bloodline anymore. I'm getting a little concerned here. Where the fuck are we going with War Games? Listen, I know we got a Bad Blood. We still have Bad Blood. We still have a lot of time. We have about 2 months left. I'm being impatient. I'm being
Mm-hmm.
impatient, but I'm getting a little nervous. I'd be lying to you if I said I'm not getting nervous. Hopefully, hopefully, we end up getting these interactions again. He ends up going to the Bloodline. But Sammy has to handle this Gunther stuff first. Of course, Sammy's gonna get his shit rocked. Gunther's not losing to Sami Zayn,
No.
not yet at least. Um, but speaking of Bloodline individuals, we finally find out who Braun Breaker's number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship will be, and that will be happening next week on Monday Night Raw. But Jey Uso is now the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship match. This comes following a fatal four way with Braun Strowman, Jey Uso, Dunn, and Ilya Dragunov, if I'm not mistaken, on
Mm-hmm.
last week's Monday Night Raw, which was a great main event. I think they gave him about 25, 30 minutes. Go out there and cook. Um, that match was a fun match. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, you guys should go check it out. Ultimately, Jey Uso ended up winning this match following a shit ton of shenanigans. We even got the return of Mr. Why am I forgetting his name? Fucking big boy. Why am I forgetting his name? Just help me out here.
Big Bronson Reed.
Big Bronson Reed. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. I'm sorry, Bronson.
You're good.
Please don't fucking tsunami slash me. Um, Bronson Reed returned to attack Braun Strowman. during that fatal four-way, which led to them having an all-out brawl at this week's Monday Night Raw. We'll get to that later. But this was a match full of shenanigans. It ultimately ended with Jey Uso taking the win here, winning the opportunity at the Intercontinental Championship. We found out that he's going to be facing Braun Breaker next week. This has been a really interesting story for me. I've enjoyed the Braun Breaker segments that he's had against Jay,
Hmm.
especially because Braun keeps up bringing up the fact that no one in Jey Uso's bloodline has ever been able to beat one of Braun's family members. And I think harping upon that, he's done it twice now. They've gone back and forth. Is very interesting to me because I feel like someone in the bloodline is going to take offense to this. That's not just Jey Uso. They're going to find themselves interfering in this match. I'm a little nervous for Jey Uso only because I don't see him winning this match against Braun Breaker. We keep giving Jay these number one contender opportunities. We've seen him have it against Damian Priest. I believe it was at Backlash of this year where he lost that match. Seems to be getting to the main event, but he keeps losing in these main events. What are your thoughts on Jay being the number one contender? Him beating Braun? How do you see this playing out?
Well, you present me with the predicament that I didn't really think of, which was Jay is getting these big opportunities, but what does it matter if he's just going to keep losing them? You would imagine that they would be wins in order to build him up for the big bloodline feud that comes in the future, but you're not really going to take the belt off of any of the people that you've been putting him up against. So I don't like you said. I don't think he beats a breaker for this title shot. So where does that leave him? And like you said, the bloodline feud right now is kind of, I don't know, in a couple different strands. It's going in different a couple different ways. So everyone's kind of getting split up. Like I said before, Sammy's being put in a storyline kind of to keep him busy until they need him again. But is it going to be too late once they need all these players back in the game? We also don't know where Jimmy is. So on the match between Jay versus Breaker, sadly, even though I wish Jay would win, I definitely got Breaker because I mean he's a beast right now and there's no reason to fucking take it off of him. But in the long run, I am worried about where these people are going because, like you said, we are weeks away from Survivor Series, so we do have time where we can fix these storylines to go back to what we thought was going to happen before. But I don't know if we're even going to still go in that direction, if you know what I'm saying.
For sure. But listen, if there's somebody that I've learned to trust over the last few months last year or so, 2 years, damn, I've been watching this shit for a while now.
Equally.
Um, if there's someone that I've learned to trust, it is in Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I'm Triple H, Poppy H. Figure this shit out, brother. I need to see Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0. That's what I want. That's what the people want. And I hope we get there. But unfortunately, Jay, next week it will be no yeet for you,
Mm-mm.
sir. You are not going to be winning that championship belt. Listen, I do have a prediction because this that was last week's Monday Night Raw, but this week's Monday Night Raw, these two guys, Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, had a promo battle again, and this was probably one of the better promos that Jey Uso has had in a very, 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 very long time. Because it's gotten to the point where his fucking promos have just been yeet this, yeet that, etc. And I get it; it's working for you. Sell your merch, brother. But when you were cutting promos with Jimmy, when you guys were the Usos cutting these amazing promos against other tag teams, rapping against them, like that shit was fun. Um, and those were the best promos that I remember Jay having. Even when Sammy was in the bloodline, those were good times. But now it's just been like one word promos, and I get it. You got to sell your merch, right? But anyways, Jay and Braun had a great promo battle this week. There was a point where Jay had told Braun Breaker that he's been watching him. No, he's not gonna take him lightly next week. He respects what he's done. Braun had told Jay, like, listen, bro, you've been in this company for 14 years and you haven't done shit. I've been in this bitch for 6 months and I've done more than what you've ever done in the last 14 years. oh wow, he getting real disrespectful. Jay responded by saying, bro, I've been running things since you've been in your diapers winning championships. I was like, all right, Jay, get back at him. Get back at him, Jay. Then Jay went on to tell that brother, next week, your championship reign is going to end quickly, just like your NFL career. I said, oh, wow. This motherfucker is cooking again. I was so excited for Jay. My eyebrows were raising because I was genuinely surprised that he stopped saying fucking yeet and he got serious. This is what you could do when you get serious. But the best part of this promo for me, and the part that lit a bulb in my head, was Jay verbatim told Braun Breaker that next week I'm a dog walk your ass. And then when he said this, a light bulb switched off in my head, because the last time I remember somebody saying these words, although it wasn't in a WWE setting, Jacob Fatu used those exact same words in a promo when he was in MLW. I forget who he was facing. I believe it was Alexander Hammerstone. Yes, he cut a riveting promo against Alexander Hammerstone. They were heading to a Christmas pay-per-view for MLW, Major League Wrestling. But anyways, Jacob Fatu used those exact same words. I'm a dog walk your ass. I don't think these individuals say these things without thinking them before they say it. I think that seed was planted there. Jay's going to have this match next week. I think we're finally going to see the Bloodline 2.0 interfere with Jey Uso. I think we're going to get Jacob on Raw. We're going to get him interfering in that match, putting that brother Jay to sleep. And this is where we start building the story to get the Bloodline back. Maybe I'm just soul searching. Maybe I'm shot hunting here. What are your thoughts on this? What did you think of that second promo battle between these two men as well?
The promo battle was great. I enjoyed the promo battle between both of them. Like you said, and Jay came out kind of on top with that comment, because you kind of just need that one big comment to kind of nail the coffin shut. And I think that was it for him. Um, you bringing this up, your little Nostradamus Rob moments. Um, it wouldn't make sense just because they kind of they prepared us with this. What was it, last NXT, where the Bloodline kind of rushed in and they jumped who was it, fucking Street Profits, right?
Yes. Yeah, Street Profit.
So it wouldn't, with them doing that on a show like NXT that we wouldn't normally expect them on. Now someone like Jacob going over onto Raw and doing that next week, I think it wouldn't be too crazy or too out of the ballpark to say. So I think you're cooking with something there. Um, do you think then at that point with them rushing Jay, do you think this is where we finally get Jimmy? Are we going to get Jimmy before Bad Blood, or do you think we save Jimmy for before something like Survivor Series?
I don't think we get him yet. I think we
Okay.
waited this long. I don't know if Usos are gonna have. No, I think you bring him back at Bad Blood. Oh no, you're right. Because we're gonna get into this a little bit more. Cody Roman, Solo, Jacob, at Bad Blood. I think that's when you bring him back.
Okay.
Oh, you're cooking. That is when you bring him back.
Okay. I mean, he's still the
think,
factor, and I feel like a lot of people like me keep forgetting that he's not back. And like, it sucks to say that, but like, they've been good at kind of keeping him out of the public eye, keeping him off of our minds. So whenever he pops, it's gonna be kind of big.
no, it's gonna be sick. Listen, and it's Jimmy Uso. It's not like fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back after a neck injury. But it might feel that way because we haven't seen this brother in a long time. The last time we seen him, Solo was putting him through the fucking ring. And he introduced Tama Tonga. That's the last time
Mm-hmm.
we seen him.
Yeah.
The introduction of Tama Tonga, uh, and which was prior to Backlash, right after WrestleMania 40. So it's been a very long time, almost 6 months. We're going on 6 months in October. So half a year, Jimmy, get your ass back into the WWE. We need you, brother. We need the Bloodline. But no, I'm excited to see how that's gonna play out. And yeah, Jay, you're gonna get your fucking shit rocked next
Sadly,
week, brother.
yeah,
So
sadly.
it's gonna be fun to watch. But I'm also most excited. If that is the case, I'm excited to see the Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu stare down. That'll be sick. That's a match that I would love to see later down the line. But moving forward, more wrestling. I want to quickly touch upon Tuesday night's NXT of last week. We finally got to see your girl, the beautiful madness as they have now started to call her, Julia, make her in-ring debut against Chelsea Green, which I absolutely loved because not only because of Julia, but Chelsea Green. They keep putting Chelsea Green in these positions where she is gotten to the point where she's so respected and loved by the fans that you send her to sort of build the next person up. And it's the perfect way to put a new superstar over. And she's been doing a fantastic job at that. Although she's been losing, she's been winning because she's gotten a lot more TV time. She's really the like a phenomenal six man coming off the bench. Lou Will off of the Atlanta Hawks coming off the bench type of character. And I've absolutely loved everything that Chelsea Green has done in the last few months. But having her go up against Julia in her first match in the WWE was fantastic. Julia was also not afraid to use that strong style sort of wrestling from Japan. There was a lot of spots here that looked rough. Even her finisher, where she knees someone in the jaw, and Chelsea in the jaw was crazy looking. I love the fact that they're kind of going back to this black and gold era, very similar to when Shinsuke made his WWE debut. He had that strong style about him that made you kind of squeeze a little bit when watching his matches, just because you didn't know if people were actually getting fucked up. So that was great. What were your thoughts on Julia versus Chelsea Green in her in-ring debut?
This was my match of the night for NXT, so I love this match. Like you said, I think sending down Green to that's someone recognizable that the crowd is really hot on right now, down to elevate someone like Julia. Not that she needs elevating, but just for those people that aren't really familiar with her or aren't caught up on the hype yet, I think that's perfect. I think this was a phenomenal first showing for Julia. Like you said, she came over with that strong style, so you could definitely notice in certain spots where it got a little bit rough, but I don't think it ever got out of hand. Um, so that was great, and it'll take her a bit. It'll take her a bit to learn the way of WWE wrestling and how they operate inside the ring. But I think she's gonna be someone that, not that we're lacking females in NXT, but she's gonna be someone that elevates the rest of the females to want to do better. So I'm really excited to see her more down in NXT, and it looks like her big first feud will be against Roxanne, which isn't a bad first feud to have.
The best first feud to have. And I think we've already gotten announced that Roxanne and Julia will be facing each other for the Women's NXT Championship on the first NXT episode that's going to air on the CW network, which will be taking place on October 1st. I think that Julia is going to be the one to dethrone Roxanne. That's just how I feel about it. I don't think you bring her in this hot, have her beat Chelsea Green, have her immediately challenge for the belt if you're not going to put the belt on her. And she has an aura to her. The fans are loving her. The announcers have been doing a great job of building her up. Gotten her vignettes. I think that week in particular, she had 3 different segments on TV. So they're clearly extremely high on Julia. Maybe maybe she loses by interference with one of these other superstars that they're still waiting to debut, such as a Stephanie Vacour or a Delta. Um, I don't know, but what are your thoughts on Julia versus Roxanne Perez on the NXT's premiere episode on the CW? Who do you have winning that championship match?
I mean, I said a couple of weeks back there was no one in the division that could beat Roxanne until now. The one to beat Roxanne has arrived, and it's going to be Julia. And I don't think you're too far off the mark saying that she'll beat her at the next pay per view, just because we already know how hot Triple H is on her. So, and I told you before, the plan was originally to just slap the belt on her right away. So I don't see that being out of the realm of possibilities to continue doing. And I wouldn't be mad at it. Roxanne has held her own. She's definitely carried that division for a long time, and I think it's just like it was time for Roman Reigns to take a break. I think it's time for Roxanne to take a break, maybe take a little vacation, come back even stronger, and eventually be pushed to the main roster. Because I think it is time that she goes and she faces some of the bigger talents that we have up in the two main shows.
Interesting. We'll have to see how this match plays out, and I'm excited for it. I'll definitely be watching. NXT is cooking something up.
Hmm.
Um, and Shawn Michaels is in the back chefing that bitch, throwing some fucking seasoning on it, having a blast back there. So good for Shawn Michaels and the NXT roster. They've been good, doing great. A few more details to touch upon NXT here. We actually found out officially, that the Motor City Machine Guns have now signed with the WWE per Pro Wrestling News. I think, being that they're building up this first episode on the CW happening on October 1st, I think that's where they make their first TV appearance. That's where they make their WWE debut. We know that Nathan Frazier and Axiom are currently the tag champs. I could see them holding maybe a tournament, holding a challenge on the 1st of October, an open challenge. And that's when we get an introduction to this new tag match that I'm not too familiar with, but I've heard great things. How you feel about the Motor City Machine Guns now officially signing with the WWE? Are you familiar with their game?
I'm loosely familiar with the game, but I am excited that they're coming just because it means more tag teams, and that's always great. I honestly thought they were gonna pop on this episode of NXT, just uh just because I thought, at the end of a match such as Axiom and Fraser versus Street Profits not normally being on NXT, that's why they were there. Obviously, that was not because of the bloodline interference, but I thought that they were going to pop here. So now it's nice to know that we have an official date for them to come. You said that was
October
uh,
1st.
October 1st on the CW, so I'm hyped for that. I'm excited to see how they're going to wrestle in NXT and see if the fans will actually get behind them or if this will just be another indie group that comes in and people just don't get too hot on. We've had that happen a couple of times where we have indie talent come in and they just can't pick up the steam. But I feel like they're two people that have enough background in the indie circuit. So I think it's exciting for NXT. I'm excited to see them, and I'm just ready for this October 1st show so we can see what they can do.
Definitely. Touching a little bit more upon NXT here. You already talked about it. Touched on it a little bit. But Street Profits had a match against Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They were having a great match. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford. I thought this was a great showing for Montez Ford as well. Athleticism was off the charts here. They were having a blast, but it was cut short due to bloodline interference. You got to see Tama Tonga, infamous Tongaloa, and Jacob Fatu run in, interfere, kick the Street Profits' ass for the most part. Seeing them on NXT was a surprise to me. I wasn't watching the show live. I saw the tweets come in. I said, "What the fuck are these guys? What are the Samoans doing on NXT?" They just went out there to wreck house. So they also didn't bring Solo with them, which was interesting. They didn't bring Solo with them, but they did say at the end of the show that was all done by orders of the tribal chief. Now, they've never ever said who the tribal chief is. They always just say by orders of the tribal chief.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Like the three of them in the NXT. Did Solo send them, or did The Rock send them? Did someone else send them? I'm excited to find out. But I was very surprised by their interference and them showing up in NXT, catching the flight to Florida. What were your thoughts on their interference in this match? How are you feeling about the Bloodline 2.0 without Solo Sikoa being there?
I mean, this was obviously a hit. Like you said, we don't know from who because they never do specify. Even though they do acknowledge Solo as the tribal chief, you never, when a hit gets carried out, they never really say who the tribal chief is. So there might be something to that there. I'm not sure. But this was obviously, like we said, a hit because they came in, they wrecked house, they went home. I thought, like I said before, I thought this is where maybe the machine guns would pop. Obviously, it wasn't. And again, it opens up the possibility that if they do go to another show to attack a Jey Uso, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities to think that'd be something to happen just because it already happened on NXT with the team that I can't really remember that they had a beef with recently. I know they've had beef with them in the past, but not recently. So it was interesting. It caught me off guard. I didn't know that that was going to happen at all. So we'll see. We'll see if they carry out more hits in the weeks to come.
Definitely. That wraps it up for my notes on Tuesday night NXT. Was very short notes for me on my end there. Wanted to ask, was there anything that I'm missing that you wanted to touch upon in regards to NXT itself?
Not really. We had a stacked NXT. If you haven't seen it, I would say just go see it because we did have a couple big matches. Like we said, the Axiom and Frazier versus Street Profits. Just watch it just because of the bloodline interference. Julia versus Green is the match of the night because Julia debuted. Dempsey versus Javon for the cut match, another great cut match. Obo versus Hammerstone. If you're not familiar with Hammerstone, we brought him up earlier. I think seeing him against Obo would be a good introduction to you for Hammerstone. We had the Jordan Grace segment where she came in but nothing really happened. I think she challenged Sol Ruka, but then they both got interfered, so nothing really happened there. So I'm not sure where we're gonna go with Jordan Grace, if we're gonna do a tag team or if we're gonna actually give her the match against Ruka. I guess we'll find out in the weeks to come. And then Chick versus Dunn. Chick finally got his hands on Dunn. He seems to have gotten the point because if I'm not wrong, Trick won that one. Um, but yeah, NXT was stacked. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, go watch it. I think most of those matches, I would say they're a solid 4. So, but other than that, no more thoughts on NXT.
Phenomenal. Now we'll jump into what I've been looking forward to, which is Friday Night SmackDown, which was also announced as the season premieres. This was the first episode. SmackDown actually was on the USA Network following their contract ending with Fox, which is great to me because Fox was pissing me off, man. Fucking audio cuts they would do when the fans would start to cuss. That shit would piss me off. A lot of just blackouts. So fuck you, Fox. I'm glad this shit is off the fucking off that channel. Glad we're on the USA. I have my gripes with USA Network too. Don't even get me started with all the fucking commercial breaks they take. But anyways,
Does
I
USA
much rather
allow
have
them to curse though?
they're a little bit more lenient about it. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, they get away with a lot more shit on Monday Night Raw than they do on SmackDown. SmackDown just doesn't play that shit at all. So I'm just glad, or Fox doesn't play that shit at all. But I'm just glad that we're on the USA Network. They have a little bit more leniency there, and they have the season premiere, and we also got the introduction of new SmackDown logo. A lot of new production work there as well that I thoroughly enjoyed. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out the new SmackDown logo, please go do so. Would love to hear your thoughts on the comments, whether you like the logo or not. I thought it reminded me of like a NASCAR logo situation, of a race car logo situation. I'm indifferent towards it. Not the greatest SmackDown logo. I also don't think it's the worst, but it adds a new flair. What I did love was the production work that they brought into that this week's episode of SmackDown and the match graphics. Specifically, there was a match graphic with Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes that just looked outstanding on television. So excited to see how this production moves forward with the new logo, with whoever the graphic team is in the back. Keep doing what you're doing. Very similar to Shawn Michaels. Y'all are back there in the kitchen, effing something up. You guys are doing great. Keep that shit up. What were your thoughts on SmackDown's new logo? Any thoughts on their production value this specific week?
You and me had talked about it personally, but we both love the production for this week. I think the new logo with the new production style is cool. I'm very indifferent on the logo itself, just because, like you said, it looks like a NASCAR logo. To me, it looks like a sports drink logo, and I'm not sure if I really like that as much. But it will come to like the logo. This always happens anytime they introduce a new logo. We're kind of indifferent for a bit, and then it sticks around long enough for us to be like, okay, that's an alright logo. And I'm sure that the next time they switch it up, we'll hate it again, and then we'll grow to love it. But the production was phenomenal, like you said. Just the graphics are on the names and the custom cutouts of the wrestlers. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. We brought back pyro, like big pyro, at least for the big show, like the classic SmackDown pyro, which I got hyped on. But yeah, overall, I think like I said, the I'm indifferent for the logo, but the production is 10 out of 10 right now for them.
Definitely. What I need them to do, put this production at 12 out of 10. Bring back the blue. Back the blue ring ropes.
Ooh,
You bring
okay,
that shit back and then put the red ones on Raw. Y'all are cooking.
that'll be sick.
Something so simple, but it would cook. But to get into the meat of the show, you start off surprisingly. I was surprised by this. I knew we were in for some big shit when we found out that Solo and Cody Rhodes in a steel cage for the WWE Undisputed Championship was going to be opener. This match here was a fun one. I thought that this was probably out of all the matches Solo and Cody have had, I think this was their second one. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this one was levels above, no pun intended, to Roman Reigns. Levels above the first match that they had at SummerSlam. Solo looked fantastic. Cody and Solo were going back and forth. Solo was whipping Cody's ass as he usually does, but Super Cody, nothing can put him down. You have to fucking put a bullet into Cody for him to take a pin, and even then he's gonna kick out. Um, but Solo was absolutely destroying Cody all throughout this match, hitting him with flying headbutts, Samoan drops. There was a spot in this match where Cody climbed up to the top of the steel cage, and I remember AEW spot, I think it was, where Cody did the backflip from the top of the cage, the moonsault from the top of the cage onto his opponent on the table. I thought he was gonna moonsault that bitch again, but he's saving that. He's saving that for something special. He just kind of hit Solo with a frog splash from the top of the steel cage, which was still crazy to me. All in all, this was a very fun match between the two individuals. Triple H and Gorilla gave them 30 minutes to cook something up. They've had a blast out there. The crowd was loving it. They were in Memphis, Tennessee, and I thought this crowd was fantastic throughout this entire match. So if you didn't get a chance to watch this match, go back, check it out. Probably one of the better steel cage matches that I've seen in a very long time. I would say. I would even say. I thought this shit was better than Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. I'm a WWE fanatic. I'm a little biased. I've said this, guys, but I will say I did enjoy this one more than that bullshit we saw with Adam Hangman Page and Strickland. Anyways, back to the meat of things. Cody ends up winning this match. He ends up pinning Solo with after hitting him with a fucking Cody Cutter into a crossroads, which was surprising to me because I think he just took him one crossroads. So what the fuck? The last time y'all faced each other, it took you 3 crossroads, and the motherfucker still almost kicked out. But anyways, Cody wins the match. After Cody wins, of course, it's not over till it's over till the bloodline shows up. The bloodline shows up. We get Tama Tonga Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu heading to the ring. They all get inside the steel cage. Now it's Cody versus 4 men. Inside the cage, Cody starts getting his shit rocked, and then things go silent for a bit. A big boss man shows up, Roman Reigns, sporting his OTC shirt. He walks out. We haven't seen him since the bloodline put his ass out a few weeks ago when Jacob Fatu sent that man to almost heaven. He walks out. He walks into the steel cage, and this man closes the steel cage door behind him. I don't know if you've seen the meme, but I think it was Shannon Sharp that if you've ever see him outside having a fight with the grizzly bear, help the bear. This is exactly what Roman Reigns type of timing he was on. The motherfucker walked into the steel cage with 4 motherfuckers who had just beat his ass 3 weeks prior. He closes steel cage. He starts raining down punches on Tama Tonga, on Tongaloa, Solo Sikoa. At this point, Jacob Fatu was outside of the ring, and Roman already knocked everyone else out. Cody's still on the floor over there crying somewhere. I'm like, yo, Cody, get up. You're not looking good, bro. You need to get up. Cody over there knocked out on the floor. Roman turns his attention to Jacob Fatu, signaling to Jacob, get your ass in the ring. Bring your ass here. The crowd is like, oh shit, we're about to get these two finally putting hands on each other. Jacob heads into the steel cage. Right when Roman and Jacob were about to go spear for spear, Solo pulls Jacob Fatu out. We're like, yo, what the fuck? We were about to get the matchup we've been waiting for. But Solo pulls him out. He tells him, nah, we gotta wait for this. Amatonga Tongaloa get up. They try to jump on Roman. That's when Cody finally gets his shit together. Bro hits a crossroads. I forget on which one of the Tongans. Hits it on one. Roman hits the fucking Superman punch into the spear onto the other Tongan. Now we get both these motherfuckers in the middle of the ring looking at each other, conflicted. They're like, oh, we just kind of helped each other out without trying to help each other out. And so that was interesting to me. I was hyped. I said, oh shit, we got two baby faces teaming up. This felt like The Rock and Triple H, or sorry, Stone Cold and Triple H when they hated each other, but ended up winning the tag champs. This is what I got. This is the feeling that I got. And I thought that shit was sick. But anyways, I've gone a little rant now. What were your thoughts on the steel cage match, on Cody and Roman's little team up that they had there towards the end of the match as well?
You started mentioning Uncle Sharp, and I started getting nervous. I was like, "What reference is he about to fucking make?" But you brought it home with that reference. Um, this tag team is unprecedented. I did not have this on my 2024 bingo card. Not even close. I did not think that we would ever see Roman and Cody tag against the Bloodline. Maybe there was like a small part of me that wanted him to kind of help Roman in case he needed people for Survivor Series, but that was always like a long shot. You know, you never thought that the good guy would help the bad guy. When in reality now, I mean, you could say that they're both good guys, to be honest, but that's besides the fact. I think the cage match in itself was a great match. Like you said, I think you put it perfectly. This match was fun. I think this had big spots. It had some spots that made me nervous. You forget how high this fucking ring is, but once I get up there, you start noticing how high it is, and you're like, God, just please be safe while you're up there. Um, like you said, the party got started once the bloodline came in, and we really did think that we were gonna get Jacob versus Roman for finally, at least have them tussle or something. But they really want to save this tussle between them for the right opportunity. And I don't know if have they announced who from the bloodline would be facing Roman and Cody if they did do the tag match.
Yeah, it's gonna be Solo and Jacob
And
Fatu at Bad
Jacob?
Blood versus
Okay.
versus Cody and Roman.
I know it was Jake or Solo, but I wasn't sure if we had already locked in Jacob. I think they're gonna tear the house down once that standoff happens, because they won't start off. They'll do the whole little thing where they think they're gonna start off and then Solo will tag in or whatever. But once you get that standoff between Roman and Jacob, and they're finally gonna get their hands on each other, I can't wait for that because that's gonna be
No, yeah, it's gonna be exciting when both of them. When Cody, I just can't imagine Cody tagging in Roman. Like, I
hype.
remember, if I'm not mistaken, like I feel like I remember John Cena and Randy Orton being tag partners for a fucking match, like way
Hmm.
back when, and them not wanting to tag each other in because that used to be the thing that they used to do on SmackDown and Raw. Like they would put people who hated each other on the same team. They would purposely pull their hands back, walk out, leave a dude to get his shit rocked, and
Hmm.
it make you even more upset. And I don't see that happening here because either way it'd be fucked up. Like Roman, he's not a bad guy anymore. He's kind of like an anti-hero, but he's a good guy. Cody is the fucking ideal baby face. He's not turning heel anytime soon. For the Homelander heroics, it's not happening. For those fanatics, be patient. Maybe one day it'll happen. I doubt it. Anyways,
It's
so I'm just
happening.
interested. I'm just interested to see like that first tag in and of itself is gonna be insane. Like who's gonna start the match? I would bet money it's gonna be Cody because that motherfucking Roman not gonna start the match. Uh,
Nah, I
and
think
him
you got it
having
wrong.
it
I think Roman's gonna start the match.
really
I
you
think
would
Roman
you
starts just because I'm sure Cody will put himself first, and he's like, "I'm gonna start," and then Roman will be like, move aside, I'm gonna start."
Oh, you right, you right. I could see that happening. I could definitely see a world where Roman like, who the fuck you think you is? This is my show. This is my WWE. Like,
Ah,
nah, brother, I'm gonna tag in. You right. So I do see them having a little conflict there. Solo and Jacob are probably gonna win this match because of that conflict that they're gonna have internally with each other, which is great. It leaves for a great story to move past this. What's interesting, this is gonna piss me off
yeah.
because I do want Sammy fucking Zayn to come back to the bloodline. But
What?
if you're gonna have fucking Cody in a tag match with Roman, then I could see them putting this motherfucker in the War Games match with Roman too. Listen, that's still 2 months away. We will have to wait and see. But what makes this story a lot more interesting between Cody and Roman, the way we went, let's first get to how this match got decided. So following the steel cage debacle, um, Nick Aldis went backstage and he was like, "Oh, I just got Cody and Roman in the ring together. I see Solo and Jacob are butting heads with them. I'm gonna go be a GM. I'm gonna make a match happen." Solo and Jacob Fatu agreed to a tag match against Roman and Cody if they decide to do it. So at the end of the show, I'm fast forwarding here, but at the end of the show, the main event was gonna be Roman Reigns talking on the mic. Roman comes out, grabs the mic, he tells the fans, "Listen, a lot of things change, but not I. I'm still the tribal chief, the only tribal chief. It don't matter if I got a damn necklace on me or not. I am the real tribal chief." He lets the WWE universe know he doesn't need Nick Aldis. He doesn't need help from Cody Rhodes because this is family business. And the crowd starts going nuts. And then, of course, Solo, Jacob Fatu come out. Um, they head out to the ring. Sorry, I apologize. Cody heads out to the ring because Roman says, "This is my WWE." Cody's like, "Nah, brother, you're tripping." So Cody comes out to the ring. He tells Roman, "Listen, it was your WWE, but that all changed when I beat your ass at WrestleMania 40 for the championship." And that's when we get Solo and Jacob Fatu walk out quietly. And you see Solo mumbling, "What, y'all friends now? Y'all gonna help each other now?" And that's when the Tongans attack Cody and Roman from behind. But never fear, Roman and Cody get their shit together. They hit a combo of the crossroads of the spear again. Then Roman grabs the contract with Solo and Jacob Fatu already signing it for a tag match. He signs the contract, but he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let you one up me on my show, brother." And he grabs the contracts and signs it. And now Roman and Cody are tag partners at Bad Blood. That's how we got to this point. But what is interesting to me is we seen how Kevin Owens reacted when Nick Aldis said he was going to grant Roman Reigns a championship rematch when he returned after SummerSlam to get that match at Bash in Berlin. Kevin Owens was pissed. We've seen how upset Randy Orton was at Roman Reigns at the Bloodline for putting him out, for sending him out, and putting him out on a stretcher, putting him out on a retainer for almost a year and some change. We've seen what Roman had done to Sammy and Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. How are these guys gonna feel? Cody decided to tag with Roman Reigns. I think that is interesting. People are forgetting about what's going to happen with those stories. I think that leaves room for heel turns that we need for Cody's championship reign. I think that's going to push Kevin Owens to be upset. I think that's going to really set a fire under Randy Orton's ass. This may lead to we've been waiting for. How do you feel about that?
Fuck, that was a lot. Uh, uh, yeah, I mean, it would be a good chance to do those storylines because sure we have this tag match between Roman and Cody and Bloodline 2.0, but we know that Roman continues the storyline with the Bloodline, but where does that leave Cody? Cody's still waiting for Bloodline to resolve itself so he can see himself back into the picture of going up against the Bloodline. So we have been setting up these friendships for Cody that eventually we all knew were going to turn into, turns on him or whatever to progress his storyline. So it does present itself the opportunity to do that finally. So I do like your thinking there, where maybe a Kevin Owens and a Randy Orton don't necessarily see eye to eye on him going along with the tag match, but at the same time, Cody had no choice. Like you said, he wasn't going to let Roman one up him on his own show, so he kind of just had to sign it. This has blockbuster written all over it. This match is definitely going to be fucking great, and we're going to get some really big moments where we have even more story progression, where maybe Roman gets in a tight spot that Cody does need to save him, and Cody kind of struggles with the nature of having to save him and not saving him. We said it before. Roman Reigns has to start the show or start the match, and he does that by interfering with Roman, because who is he to start the show? Yeah, he's the champion, but let's not forget who rightfully was the champion before. So you liked the idea of maybe having these tag teams between a good guy and a bad guy have some kind of confrontation. That's where the confrontation might lead, is Roman doesn't want to tag Cody because of their past, and we see that kind of classic moment that you were talking about. Overall, though, I think this match is going to be a knockout, and I didn't know if we were actually going to get it. And at the end of the night, when Cody finally signed it, kind of made it official. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the prospect of what it will bring. Will we see a Kevin Owens and a Randy Orton turn on Cody because of the decision? Who the fuck knows? But we have quite amount of time between our next pay per view, so we got some time to build some stories.
Definitely. I think Kevin Owens is gonna meet Cody backstage this week on SmackDown or next week on SmackDown and be like, "Yo, bro, what the fuck is good with you? We spent the whole year fighting this dude. You spent 2 years trying to get the championship from this dude just for him to come back and you're gonna join his team." Because Kevin Owens is always the smart guy in the locker room. He's always the voice of reason. And I think
True.
that's what's gonna happen there. But he's gonna have to explain his reasoning behind it. But I think this is gonna be the straw that broke the camel's back with KO. Because we saw him at his last match against Cody, like not being able to pull the trigger. And he's gonna be like, "Yo, what the fuck? I'm gonna pull triggers now. If you're gonna do some shit like this, I don't care about you anymore." So I think that's where we're gonna head there. I do think we're gonna get a second KO versus Cody match, so I think this helps that progression as well. All in all, I'm excited for this tag match. This is probably the most excited I've been for a tag match that doesn't include the goddamn tag team championships. Um, yeah, who gives a fuck about them? Finn Balor and fucking JD over there haven't defended that shit in a long goddamn time. I think they just defended it this week, if I'm not mistaken, but who gives a fuck? And then the Tongans aren't defending the shit. And even when they do defend the shit, they're not gonna fucking lose because it's not 2-on-2 over there. It's fucking 70 Samoans against whoever the fuck they're facing. Um, so we're screwed on that front. Maybe the Motor City Machine Guns will come in and take a belt from somebody. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited for this tag match. Do you think it main events Bad Blood?
Fuck.
Knowing that Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are
Yeah,
in Hell in a
that's where I'm like having trouble kind of picking, because I would say that the Cell match, just because that was like, I'm pretty sure that was like one of the first posters they put out for the pay per view. I feel like that has to be the sign that that'll be the main event. But this has main event written all over it, so it's kind of rough. I would say just in the prospect of, because Roman Reigns is in this match, we'll get this as the main event, and we'll have the other one as the co-main event. But
Okay.
it's tricky. It's tricky.
I think that this is going to main event. I think you're also being extremely disrespectful to forget that this is Cody Rhodes' hometown. And listen, I know Roman is Roman, brother, but Cody is the WWE champion and he's coming back home. So I think they're gonna main event there. I think Cody gets the last entrance here as well.
Cody.
Yeah, I think Cody gets the last entrance. I think Solo and Jacob come out, then Roman, and then Cody because he's gonna close the show. I think Cody gets the pin. I do think Cody gets the
Cody
pin.
gets the pin.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Early predictions.
Cody
I
coming
do
out
think
with
Cody gets
a
the pin.
sick ass rap version of his theme song.
I'd be sick. Metro Boomin intros him. But we will have to wait and see for Atlanta on
Honestly,
October the
they
5th
should
at
go
Bad
all
Blood.
out. You know how there's like the meme that he's a man of color. They should just go full out, get a marching band out there, do a
That'd be
custom
crazy.
theme song. Just because he's the hometown boy too, so you can't be like, well, why did they do it for him? Well, they did it for him because he's a hometown boy. But honestly, just do it just because just because it'll be funny. Just get a
Yeah,
marching band out there, get some steppers out there, give them the whole treatment.
it would be sick. But Cody, go take this win for us, man. Roman and Cody. I'm excited to see how this plays out. But touching upon a few more details in regards to Friday Night SmackDown
Wait,
last
wait,
week.
wait, 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 wait. We do have one last Samoan that hasn't presented himself. Do you think he pops at any point in the near future, or do you think we're holding off on him? Because he can pop at this pay per view if they want to interfere with this match.
The Pebble?
Um, the one that was just in New Japan, the one that just signed.
Oh, Haikuleo.
Haiku Leo, there you go.
I thought you were talking about The Rock. That's a good point because they did sign him.
Yeah,
We
they
haven't
signed him
seen
and then nothing. Radio silent. So I'm guessing they're saving him for something.
I think they're
'Cause-
saving him for Solo to lose another match.
okay.
I think that's what they're saving him for. I think Solo and Jacob lose this match here because of Solo's fault. I think Solo takes the pin because they're not gonna have Jacob take the pin. But Cody and Solo again, and I think that's gonna be the straw that breaks the bloodlines back there. They're gonna do the same thing that they did to Jimmy. Hey dude, he fucking losing. Losing has consequences. Bam! Put the shot out, put the hit on Solo. That motherfucker out the Bloodline 2.0. And then we got Haikuleo joining the Bloodline 2.0. Now that boy Jacob in charge now because The Rock said, nah, this motherfucker, the Tasmanian devil, he's the truth. We put the Ulafala on Jacob Fatu, and then we move forward.
That'd be
I
crazy.
think that's what happened. So I'm glad you bring that up. I completely forgot they had that curly hair motherfucker stored in the fucking closet for something. So yeah, no, you're right, but I don't think he comes out of Bad Blood.
Okay.
I think Jimmy may make his return.
That'd be sick.
I'm so excited.
And it's
I'm
called
excited.
Bad
I'm a little
Blood.
pissed.
They got Bad Blood.
Yep.
It goes with it.
Exactly. I'm a
His
little
brother's
pissed.
about
I
to get his
have
teeth kicked in.
for sure. I have a bachelor party that weekend.
Ooh.
Or one of my good friends, one of my great friends,
Nice.
Alberto. If you're listening, brother, love you. I'm looking forward to it.
Congrats,
but I'm
Alberto.
a little fucking upset. I'm a little upset only because it's the weekend of Bad Blood. I love to watch my wrestling live. So we'll have to wait and see. I might sneak away, pull out my phone, watch this bitch somewhere in the corner of the club. I'm watching this show. I'm trying to see what the fuck is gonna happen.
This is why your friends hated when you lived in New York, dude.
Hey man, I have to watch my wrestling. But moving forward with a few more things I wanted to touch upon on SmackDown. Randy Orton finally made his return to SmackDown to help Kevin Owens take on A-Town Down Under. We saw Randy Orton go ahead and fight Gunther earlier this month at Bash in Berlin. Finally get him back on SmackDown. He was only, I guess, a free agent for 2 weeks, whatever the fuck. But now he's back on SmackDown, which aids to my point that I think Randy and KO are gonna feel some type of way about Cody and Roman's team. So I'm excited to see that backstage interaction. The funniest part about this match here was Kevin Owens, prior to the match, said he had a surprise guest tag partner, and then we found out that his original tag partner was couldn't make it to the show because of travel issues. So they ended up getting some random dude. I can't even tell you his name, but when his music popped, I was like, "Yo, who the fuck is this guy?" He didn't even look like AEW would pay him, and they pay any indie wrestler in the area. So when I saw this dude, I was confused. I was distraught. I was texting my friend. I was like, "Yo, who the fuck is this guy?" I originally thought, I got a little excited. I got a little ahead of myself, being that it was the season premiere. I said, yo, Kevin Owens gonna bring back my boy John Cena. I was hype. I
That
was in
would
the
have been
corner
dope.
hype. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the horns to ring. And some fucking white dude, bald head, fucking wearing pink shorts came out. And who the fuck is this guy? But Kevin Owens put him out, sent him home with a stunner, I think. And that's when we found out that Randy Orton actually made it to town. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens ended up beating A-Town down under, sending them back down under the fucking ring, that is. And that was a pretty quick match, nothing too extravagant there. We got a combo of a stunner, RKO. What were your thoughts on Randy getting back to SmackDown? Do you think this aids in my idea where Randy and KO are going to feel some type of way about Cody and Roman team?
This segment was a little random to me. I like didn't understand what was going on, just like you, where Kevin Owens had a mystery partner, and then he couldn't make it. This random guy showed up, and then Randy eventually ended up making it because of he resolved his flight issues or whatever. So I didn't have too many thoughts on this match in general. It does aid for what you were saying, where they keep showing these two as like really good friends. So as really good friends, do they side with their other good friend with the choices that he's making? Who knows? We're about to find that out because in the upcoming weeks, we're going to see where their alliances truly lie. What's more interesting, and what I do want to talk about, was something that you brought up, was John Cena. Do we have an official date for his first, I guess, stop in this retirement tour yet?
We just know that he's entering the Royal Rumble. Like,
Okay,
that is a fact.
okay, so we just know the dates that he kind of like spewed out. I say that if we, because eventually I've been waiting on it too. I've had a couple of moments throughout the weeks where I'm like, okay, is this where he's gonna come out so we could get this show started? I think we've waited long enough. I think we save him and we start his retirement tour, starting off with the Monday Night Raw on Netflix, because that'll be a huge show to begin with, and what better way to start it off? I could see John Cena completely coming out as the first thing and issuing an open challenge, and that'll be the start of his retirement tour. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that instead of the match. Where do you think that we get John Cena's first big in ring return so that we could get this retirement tour kicked off?
He did say that he was going to be on the first Monday Night Raw of the year. So I apologize for misspeaking. I knew that
Okay.
the motherfucker was going to show up at Royal Rumble. He's going to do that. He's going to do Elimination Chamber. But I
Hmm.
do think he said that he's going to be like at Monday Night Raw. I don't know if that's going to be at a wrestling capacity. Where he starts this tour, his retirement tour. Fuck.
And
I think that.
do you have a couple matches already in mind that, let's say,
Uh,
we haven't seen him against, that you would like him to go up against?
um. Well, opponents that I want to see him go up against: Carmelo Hayes.
Okay.
I want to see him going up against Carmelo. I did enjoy him and LA Knight teaming up as a tag team earlier this year or last year, whenever he came back for the couple weeks.
I could see
I
more of
enjoyed
that.
that. But I do want to see LA Knight versus John Cena. I do
That's a
want to see
good
that
one.
personally. I want to see versus Jacob Fatu. Um,
Ooh.
fuck, that's gonna be
I don't
tough, bro.
know.
Because
Fuck. Yeah, how do you get
it's
that in the
yeah,
time?
I, I don't know, but
And
I
to
think
make
it's gonna happen. It's
and
gonna
to
happen.
make it make sense, because he is such a big threat. You're building him up as such a big threat. Do you really want to put your champion who's going on a retirement tour up against one of the biggest threats that you're building up for your brand right
Yeah, no, you have the threat. Kill him.
now?
Like, I don't need Cena. I don't like. Listen, I don't want Cena to beat everybody. That's not
Well,
what I want.
no, yeah, of course not. But you don't want to see
Uh,
him put on a fucking stretcher by Jacob Fatu.
I think I do. I think I do want to see that. Like, I think
Damn.
you give him some tough opponents at first, and he gets his shit rocked because you
Okay.
need to build. He's the underdog story, man. The reason why we love Cena, why we love the Rocky movie so much, is because the motherfucker's an underdog, and everyone can relate to an underdog. Um, we always have some sort of opponent in our way that's hindering us, something hindering us. We're fighting against. And Cena has always fought the best when he was fighting up against grander opponents. Like, just fucking think about the picture of Cena putting a Big Show and Edge on his back to F you the both of them at WrestleMania. Like, about him fucking STFUing Umaga with the ring ropes. Uh, him beating the Great Khali. Just like these grander opponents that he had to lose first in order to learn how to beat them. There's a story there. And so I think you do that with Jacob Fatu. You do that with the likes of Gunther. So listen, I'm getting carried away here. The people who I want to see him face: Carmelo Hayes, Gunther, Jacob Fatu, LA Knights, guys on Raw. That's what I want to see him face. Andrade. I think they face each other back in the day though, because they were in the company around the same time
I
back
feel
when
like they
Andrade
did.
was on that US championship run. Yep. I want to see that happen. I would love to see Cody and Cena. I would love to see it. I think we have to get it. I think we have to do it one way or another.
Well, I'm talking
And
about
we
matches of that size. Have you considered what his final match is going to be?
I think it would have to be against Randy. Randy? Yeah, I think it'd have to be against Randy, his final
Randy.
match.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Randy and him have to, yeah, the fucking yin and yang to each other. They are one and two. They grew up in the business together. And their Randy's career, he just signed a 5-year contract. He's not retiring anytime soon.
No.
But they're synonymous with one another. Like, people equate Randy Orton to John Cena. When people ask who do you think is John Cena's greatest rival, I'm sure more people often than not say Randy Orton. And so I think that would be the easiest match to book is John Cena's final match. That's what I'd say. If that's the last match is gonna happen, I don't know. But if we're going the easy route, the route that makes the most sense, it has to be Randy.
That makes sense.
Um, I That's who I got right now in the cards. Um, Listen,
I
if
think we
Oba
have
Femi,
about the same amount of people.
if if Oba Femi makes it to the main roster by that point,
That'd be sick.
give me feed John Cena to Oba Femi. Um, Bronson Reed versus Cena would be sick. Imagine fucking Cena FUing Bronson Reed. That'd be a sick
Crazy.
visual.
After taking like
Uh,
20 tsunamis.
yeah. That's where I would be. So Bronson Reed, Cody Rhodes, Ika Fatu, Gunther, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, LA Knight. Those are guys. Those are names that come to my mind in terms of his. What
You said
about yourself?
you brought up I think we have about the same list. I think I would want to see him with a few more of the younger talent. I think because, like we said, he's obviously not going to win every match. There's no point of him having a retirement tour if he's going to win every match. Of course, he's got to win some of them, but having him just come and beat up new talent doesn't make any fucking sense. So I would love to see him wrestle some of the younger talent, so you could put some of them over. You brought up Obafemi. If Obafemi makes it by that time to the main roster, I think I like that because in the back of my head, what I've been thinking about is who is Cena gonna give that nod to? The same nod that Undertaker gave him, um, kind of giving him the proverbial pass of the baton of like, hey, you're part of the next class. Let's do something great. And I think maybe having Obafemi walk in the back, probably not even signed to the main roster yet, just walk in the back and have Johnson have that interaction with them. I think that would be great. And I think Obafemi is someone that I could see becoming a huge star on the main roster if you could do him right.
Oh, that's a great point. I am being so disrespectful because I didn't bring up Braun Breaker. Cena versus Breaker would be amazing as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think that's another individual that would fit that same mold that you were just talking about, where Cena gives them the nod. His
Mm-hmm.
Breaker is so believable. Cena giving him the nod would be fantastic. I do think Breaker is going to be biggest star to come out of this class of NXT wrestlers. Like, people were saying Carmelo was going to be that guy, and I think he's going to be one of the guys. But in terms of the guy that we're going to look upon this day in 15 years and be like, yo, remember when Braun Breaker came out on top? fucking Intercontinental Championship or rambling down the resume, I think Breaker's gonna be that guy. He has the look, he has the athleticism, the body of work, the in ring ability, the fuck. He has a bag. Like, no, I think Breaker is great.
Mm-hmm.
So Breaker versus Cena would be fantastic. If that's his final match, I wouldn't be mad at it either. Breaker spear him to hell and just fucking do what Brock Lesnar did to the Undertaker. Like, that would be sick. I'd be pissed, but that would be sick.
I mean, I personally, I will love it if his final match was a match where he put someone over. Um, if that were Randy, I guess I don't have a problem with that, just because that would be kind of him passing the baton of backroom leader in a sense to Randy and telling him, it's yours, take care of it. But I think it would mean a lot more if you put something over like a breaker at the end, and just, I mean, the kid already has a rocket shop to his back. Put some C4 on that bitch and let him go. And I think having a win over John Cena in his retirement tour would be that.
Percent. I agree. I much as I'm looking forward to John Cena's his retirement tour, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it. The closer we get to the end of the year,
Yeah.
um, that is my goat. It's emotional to think about. It's lining up very well with my one of my other goats, LeBron James. The potential of losing both of these superstars at the same time in their respective sports breaks my fucking heart.
Is he about to go
Cena,
too?
the motherfucker is gonna be 41 this year. Like,
Oof.
he's entering his
He still
21st
looks good
season.
though.
He's amazing. The longevity of it all. That's why Cena is also the GOAT. Someone who's done it for this long, this pace. Um, Fucking phenomenal. But as much as I'm looking forward to it, I am dreading it. But we will be there. I will be there. And I hope the last Cena match is in the States. With them going to a bunch of international shows, having these opportunities, I love it for them. Selfishly, hope the last match that he's ever gonna wrestle is somewhere in the States. Even if it's not in the fucking States, I'm gonna try to get to that bitch.
There's no
But I
way it's
hope
not
it's
on home
easy enough.
soil. There's no
Yeah,
way.
no, it has to be in home soil. Cena, the fucking American dream, gotta
It
be on
might
home
have to
soil.
be in what fucking his home or his hometown.
In Boston?
In Boston, it might
Ooh,
have to be.
shit, I'll make my return to Boston that day. I'm
We'll make a
fucking
week vacation out of that shit.
I'm saluting Cena on that day. I'm keeping my
It
fucking
might have to be.
arm
I
up
mean,
to
that would
my
be
head.
perfect if they can get something
It
planned
would
around
be.
Boston. Fucking
Those are tears.
yeah.
I'm almost crying thinking about this shit, man. Shit makes me sad.
All right, let's
But
move on.
moving forward, nothing too extravagant else really happened on Friday Night SmackDown. There was an amazing match. Just want to quickly touch upon, which was Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. These guys have been going back and forth in a series of wrestling matches. The series was tied 2-2 heading into last week's Friday Night SmackDown, with Carmelo Hayes winning the previous match. But prior to this, LA Knight had let them know whoever wins this match, you know, I'll give y'all a title shot at the United States Championship, which I love. LA Knight has been carrying the championship well already for the last fucking month that he's had it. He's already defended it more times than Logan Paul has. Put on a banger show against fucking Ludwig. Um, Whoever the fuck else he faced that did not come to my mind at this moment in time. But he let them know whoever wins this match, give you a chance. Andrade and Carmelo have been going fucking at it for the last couple months. They've been absolutely killing each other in the ring. If you haven't been able to watch one of these guys' matches, I would suggest watching one of the five so far. Any one of them is going to be a great match. These guys are like soulmates in the ring. Fucking Spanish flies off of here. Fucking reverse DDT out of nowhere. Just a bunch of different wrestling moves, and reverses, and just a fun back and forth between these two individuals. It almost reminds me of like the synergy that like a Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero would have with each other. Just individuals who get in the ring and just absolutely cook with each other. It's beautiful to watch. Andrade has that sort of strong style to him as well that I really thoroughly enjoy. He has that backhanded elbow that he hits people with. That just is brutal looking. So I'm excited to see. I know that because Andrade is up now in the series, he won this week's match. He's up 3-2 in the series. LA Knight comes out, congratulates Andrade. He lets him know, I don't really care that you won because the following week, I'm going to hit it and quit it with you. Pause. You're going to get this championship opportunity. I'm going to whip your ass and we're going to move forward. I think Carmelo's going to feel some type of way about it. He's going to interfere into that championship match. And we're going to end up getting a triple threat for the United States Championship, which I am excited for. But what are your thoughts on Andrade and Carmelo's feud and LA Knight facing Andrade for the United States Championship?
Yeah, I think at the beginning when they started putting these two against each other, I think a couple of people might have thrown it to the side and not paid too much attention. But I feel like people are paying attention now. They've had a phenomenal set of matches against each other, and you said it yourself. It reminds you of the good old days. You brought up Eddie Guerrero. Andrade is very Eddie Guerrero esque. These two and their series remind me of classic cruiserweight matches, of classic cruiserweight wrestlers, like an Eddie Guerrero or a Brian Kendrick. Carmelo Hayes has a lot of Brian Kendrick in him, a lot of Brian Kendrick in his set, and the way that he moves, and I think that's phenomenal. I think these two are showing that it doesn't always have to be big men breaking stuff. That you can still rely on the technique and the flashiness of a smaller sized wrestling division and still put on these amazing matches. Like I said, I think at the beginning a lot of people might have thrown this feud off to the side and not paid attention, but they're definitely paying attention to it now. If this becomes a triple threat post the championship match, I wouldn't be mad at it either because I think all three of these men are phenomenal wrestlers. You have Andrade, you have Hayes, and you have LA Knight. Do I see LA Knight losing it? Not necessarily, but if this is gonna stretch the feuds between, I would say even all three of them, I wouldn't be mad at it because seeing LA Knight compete against any of these two in a match or both of them at the same time is going to be a good match.
Definitely. I'm excited to see LA Knight and Andrade this upcoming week. And looking forward to seeing Carmelo interfere because I think that is what's going to happen. We're going to get the triple threat. Hopefully, we get that match on a pay per view. Bad Blood already being maybe 4 matches on the card sets will be a little bit tough. But we'll have to wait and see. Because I do think Nia Jax is going to get her championship match on the show. Speaking of Nia, I do want to quickly touch upon this.
Okay.
He had a segment where it was Nia and Tiffany Stratton, and Bailey came out. They cut a quick promo in regards to Bailey letting Nia know, like, Tiffany's just using you. He's gonna cash in on you, etc. Nia announces actually that next week on Friday Night SmackDown, we're gonna get a match between Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton versus Bailey and Naomi. But there's an added stipulation to this match. So what she said was the winner of this match gets a title shot with Nia Jax. The loser is out of SmackDown completely. But it didn't make any sense to me because it's a tag match. So I'm not sure if she delivered this line wrong. I went and I like rewatched it a few times. I was confused. I said, like, do you mean whoever takes the pin, whoever gets the pin gets to face you for the championship? Is that what you meant? Because if that's what you meant, and if Tiffany gets the pin, does that mean that she gets to face you for the championship at Bad Blood? And whoever she pins, do they leave Monday Night Raw?
Oh
I was
yeah,
fucking
that
confused.
seems
I was
confusing as
I was
shit. Now that
confusing.
you're bringing it up, yeah, that doesn't
So
make any
I
sense.
hope they clear this shit up.
I'm sure they will.
I hope they clear this shit up. Because I was confused. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. All good if not. But just genuinely confused by what the fuck Nia was talking about. Get it together. I know you the Rock's little cousin and shit, but get it together. Um,
I don't
but
know.
I would
Like,
love to
I
see.
guess I just didn't pay attention to it like that, and I just kind of assumed, okay, this is what she said instead of what she actually said. I don't know. It was that fucking confusing? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would want to see Tiffany match at some point in the near future because I think we have Charlotte Flair waiting somewhere at an airport to catch this flight and challenge Tiffany, or maybe challenge Nia. But I think Charlotte is coming. Charlotte is on the way. The Flairs are on the way, and
I
when
hope
the
so.
Flairs show up, automatic championship match, automatic, like white on rice.
It's
It's
in the contract.
synonymous. It's in the contract. Anytime she shows up on TV, skips the line. I forgot who she said it to. I think it was Bianca Belair last year when she was arguing for her championship opportunity against Io Sky, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Bianca was like, "Honey, I'm the number one contender. Like, get in the back of the line." My girl Charlotte said, "I am the line." He didn't tell a lie. He did not tell a lie.
Nope.
Um, so I'm just trying to progress to see how this story goes. Listen, Naya, I'm glad you won the championship. Good for you. You had your SummerSlam moment. Let's go ahead and get that shit off your shoulders and get this shit on
Yeah.
somebody else so we can move this story forward. Because I don't really know where you're heading with this. You're not going to have any dominant reign. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a stack. You're not going to do anything too crazy with it. All you can really do is that little move you do jumping off people off the top rope, which is deadly. You almost killed Mia Yim with it. So, I think you've
Chin.
had your fun. Me Chin, sorry. Let's get fucking Tiffany Stratton this championship belt. Let's push her to the moon. Let me get this Tiffany and Charlotte match.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's gonna be sick. I think that's where we're going. Honestly, I think that the turn has to happen soon, and she'll cash in on Naya, and we'll get this feud going. Because honestly, this tag match kind of doesn't make any sense. We don't really need Bailey and Naomi in this picture anymore, and I know that they're just here for the inevitable turn, but eliminate them out of the equation with this match. Have Tiffy turn on Naya. Then you have a feud between them. It's a good first opponent for a big feud where Tiffy is the champ. So because she has that notoriety to her name, like you said, she's the Rock's cousin. She's known to be this brutal force of pain that just hurts everyone. So why not build her up? Um, Against Naya with her first reign. I think that's perfect. I think we need to get it's time for Naomi and Bailey to go find something else to do because they're not for the title picture at the moment.
Most definitely. No, I think it's over for Bailey and Naomi, especially Naomi. I don't see her challenging for this belt. So if Bailey's gonna get her rematch, give her rematch. She's not gonna beat Nia.
No.
So let's get this show on the road with either Tiffany versus Nia, or we're gonna get the return of Miss Charlotte Flair herself. But that really wraps it up for me in terms of Friday Night SmackDown. I have a few breaking news stories that I did want to share with you. One particularly interesting to me. Now, if you remember the original tribal chief, the original tribal chief, not Roman Reigns, but the first man to actually sport the Ulafala in a WWE ring,
Mm-hmm.
that was none other than Mr. Umaga himself. Now, very similar to our tribal chief, your tribal chief, my tribal chief, Roman Reigns, Umaga had a wise man. He had a manager. His name was Armando Alejandro Estrada. And the WWE has recently signed him to a Legends, which is pretty fucking interesting. Because I think that he's going to return, actually be a manager slash new wise man for the Bloodline 2.0. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm guessing that you're in this scenario. You're gonna put him to be Jacob's wise man.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense. I'm not too familiar with how the Legends contracts work. If it's like on screen time or like if it in their contract it says if it's more just like television appearances for other shows or whatever. So it will be interesting because like you said he is the original wise man. So pairing him up with Jacob once we get the Bloodline 2.0 actually going with Jacob seems like a promising thing, especially if Paulie comes back, and then we might get some pretty interesting interactions between them on the side of the ring. I don't think they'll ever get physical, but they're both known for having quite the reputation um, in the literary department. So them, insulting each other or even getting into heated arguments will be interesting to see on the side of the ring if we do go in that way.
Or I'm just excited to see where he's gonna go, where he's gonna fit. If he's gonna be directly Jacob Fatu's wise man or manager, or if he's gonna be the manager of the entire Bloodline 2.0 with the with the Tongans, Tongaloa, Tomatonga, and Haikuleo, who we still haven't seen on. Another piece of news that you're excited for is we actually found out that the WWE is not only just signed the Motor City Machine Guns, but now the Lucha Bros have officially signed with the WWE. Their main roster bound, according to reports and to experts. I know you're a big fan of the Lucha Brothers. Talk to me a little bit about how excited you are in regards to them finally making their WWE debut, leaving AEW. There's any matches that you're a big fan of with the Lucha Bros that you would recommend our listeners to watch?
I will have to come back with the list of homework matches for the listeners to watch because fuck, there's been so many. I even sent you one just a penta match the other day against Kyrie Sane, which was fucking phenomenal down in Lucha Underground. So I'll come back with a list of matches, at least 3 matches that everyone should watch to get themselves prepared for the Lucha Bros. But I'm hyped. I told you this before we even started recording. I think Pentagon Jr. is the greatest mass luchador of our generation. I think he upholds the tradition of lucha to the highest regard, and I think that he is keeping up some of the ideals that classic mass luchadors would want to keep in the ring. I think he still keeps those ideals alive. And Ray Phoenix is nothing to squawk at either. He's amazing. He's a spot monkey through and through. And I'm really excited to see both of these. I'm excited, both of these two on the main roster. I'm excited that they're even going on the main roster. I thought we were going to most likely stick them down in NXT, and I thought that would have been a waste personally. So hearing that they're going to go to the main roster is great news. As for matches that I would want to see them compete against on the main roster right now, I mean, it'll take some time to rebuild some of these tag teams, but I mean, the Usos, 100%, that'll go down one day. I would even like to see something like a Lucha Bros versus a Gunther and a Ludwig. I think that'd be interesting. Let's get some wacky tag matches like that going on. I think overall, the Lucha Bros, when they do come, they will elevate the tag team division in general, and they will. I think they're more of the tag team to pick a fight than to stay seated in the back seat. So we will see them constantly on TV.
Definitely. No, I'm excited to check them out and have more exposure to their work. I haven't seen too much of it. I've seen them wrestle live actually at a few AEW shows that I've been to. Uh, Specifically, um, Ray Phoenix, who I've enjoyed to watch. So I'm excited to see them team up together and get an opportunity to check their work out. And no, I think Ludwig and Gunther versus them two would be interesting to watch. Of course, we can go down the LWO rabbit hole, have them fight against them. But we'll have to wait and see. Another
I don't
interesting,
want them to smack them in a Latin faction though. That's like my one thing is I don't want. I
yeah,
don't want them to just associate them Latinos because they're Latinos. I want them to go out and just let them do what they've been doing. They've been able to carve this path in the wrestling world all their own, and I think they just need to continue doing that. I don't want WWE to interfere and meddle too much in what they're doing. Just kind of point them in the right direction.
for sure. I will have to wait and see. We do know they love putting the Latinos with the Latinos.
They do.
But I would love to see them face the LWO, or
Mm-hmm.
even face Legado del Fantasma. That'd be interesting to see. They're gonna have to make a choice. Rey Mysterio is gonna try to put that shirt on them. Hey, come on, boys, come over here and join the LWO. But
I
we'll
mean, you
have to
want to
wait and
talk
see
about
how.
retirement matches. I don't know if you got a chance to. Sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that podcast I sent you between that Latin lover and Ray, but Ray actually hinted at the fact that he's getting old, and soon will be his time to call it quits in the ring. I wouldn't see anyone more perfect to retire him than Pentagon Jr. in the WWE. I think that would be fantastic.
I think that retirement match is gonna be against Dom. I think that'll be
I
who
don't
he
think
faces
so.
in his final. I think so. I'd bet money. I would bet you money that his last
I don't
match
think so.
gonna is gonna be against his son, and it's gonna be a hair versus mask match.
Yo, they put. I think
I'm
we're
dead
gonna get
ass.
that match way sooner, and Dom losing that hair.
I don't think so. I do not think so because you if you're Rey Mysterio and you're already in the Hall of Fame, literally already in the Hall of Fame, been inducted last year. What are you gonna gain from beating your son and cutting his hair? Nothing. You're not gonna gain anything. Done it all. The last thing you can do, and I think the last thing any father would want to do, put his son in the best possible spot to move forward and continue his legacy, which he's already doing, um, and as his opponent, and he's carrying that name so well, that Mysterio name so well, and I think Ray is going to want to add to that legacy by having his final match against his son. Like, just imagine the story here, like the final match, and listen, whoo, I'm cooking, bitch. I
I'm
think
about to shut your
that
ass down. So,
I think that this is going to be. There's been speculations that they want to have a pay-per-view event in Mexico.
yeah,
So we have a 2025 or 2026, early 2026, if it gets to 2026 pay-per-view event in Mexico City, Mexico, where Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio will have the hair versus mask retirement match. I think Dominic will have to win. He sends his father home. What better way to end the career of one of the, if not the greatest luchador of all time,
I have it, and I already told you it.
by taking his mask off and him going out gracefully in his home country
Huh.
against his son.
Nah,
Against his
nah. You see, the one thing that you're forgetting is that at the end of the day, Rey Mysterio through and through is a luchador, my friend, who has wrestled and who has luchad in Mexico. So you want to add the caveat that we might have a pay per view in Mexico in a couple of years. Let's say that Ray's ready to retire at that point. What good would it do to have Dom versus Ray in a hair versus mask match when you can have arguably one of the greatest masked luchadors in Rey Mysterio go up against one of the arguably the greatest current luchadors that Mexico has produced in Pentagon Jr. and not have a mask versus mask match where Penta takes his mask? It makes complete sense. Not only that, but then you continue the lineage of masked wrestlers taking masked wrestlers' masks as their trophies. Dom has already said he doesn't want to be a luchador. He already said the mask is not for me, and I will not don the mask. So why would you waste such an opportunity when you can have a classic mask versus mask in Mexico against arguably two of the biggest luchadors that are still wrestling right now? I'm just saying that profits more than a hair versus mask. I like your hair versus mask, but I think if you're gonna throw this shit in Mexico the way you did, I think we do that instead.
That's is a great point.
I
You
stumped
may
you.
have me convinced. You may have me convinced.
It just makes more sense
Um,
and it's better because why wouldn't you want to promote your main event in Mexico for the first big pay-per-view in Mexico as a mask versus mask against arguably one of your biggest mask wrestlers and the biggest signee that you've had in a hot minute recently?
no, you listen. I've been on fire recently. You take. I think you could have this one. I think
Thank you,
you
thank
may
you.
be onto something, and I think that you bring up a great point with keeping the lineage going of luchadors facing each other for each other's mask, and having Rey Mysterio lose that would be an epic way to end his career. That's another. God damn it, we're losing John. We're gonna lose Cena. I mean, we're gonna lose
Who's
Ray.
Ray?
Randy's on his way out. This might have been his last large
His last
contract.
signing, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, fuck, how many more years do we have with him?
Yeah, no. All in all, we have seen the careers of our beloved wrestlers progress and now starting to come to an end, much like today's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast. Thank you guys for listening. This has been an absolute blast. We will be back this weekend with another episode. But thank you so much for listening. And Jess, any last words?
I guess before we end the night, and we probably should have done this sooner, do we have a word from our sponsor this week?
Great. And this episode was brought to you by our sponsor, Nightbloom Vodka. Again, Nightbloom is an American made craft vodka of the highest standard. Nightbloom offers a diverse range of extraordinary blends using artisanal ingredients to create a truly unique taste of vodka. Check out their three main vodka lines, Nightbloom N1, N2, and N3, all curated for different taste buds. Make sure to grab yourself a bottle of Nightbloom before Bad Blood on October 5th. You can check them out directly at nightbloomspirits.com.
Other than that, though, I think this wraps it up for the week. We will be back later this week to recap, or maybe recap the events of SmackDown. If not, we will have the accounts of SmackDown on our next weekly recap next week. We thank you guys for the patience with the uploads. We've been a little bit busy, but we're getting back on top of it. A regular upload should happen as regular as they can be with the content being provided through wrestling. Sometimes it's slow and we don't really have much to go off, and that's why we compile these episodes that are a little bit longer with a lot more content in it. But other than that, thank you for listening. We will see you guys later this week. Rob, any final words?
I appreciate you guys tuning into this week's episode, and I look forward to speaking with you again, Jess. We're going to get on this week's Friday Night SmackDown. I'm looking forward to what happens this week with Cody and Roman. So, a lot to talk about moving forward. Um, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on hopefully a pipe bomb, a personal pipe bomb on AEW and how they're doing over there.
We have a couple drafts in the works, but we will get. I will record that and get that out as soon as I can because I do have a few choice words for AEW, and actually, it might be the final straw because none of us have really been watching AEW recently. But we will get to that next week. For now, thank you for listening. We will catch you guys later.
Peace.